South Aussie with Cosi on Channel 9, showing SA's locals how easy and important it is to holiday within our great state of South Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce Cosi.
There we go. Thanks, fella. Cheers. It's a bit of an honour to be here talking about my favourite subject, tourism, which is cool. I'm going to start on a positive note. As part of having me here, we've got a little bit of a present to give back to one of you guys. A couple of people aren't here, so they might dip out. All thanks to Channel 9 and Triple M. The good thing about working for radio and TV stations, you get to give away lots of things. Underneath one seat, you just have to have a bit of a look with your hand. There is a CD. Inside that, it's $1,000 to spend on a shorts holiday. So you can have a look now. If someone's not in the seat, it could be that one, so have a look. There's a CD there if you grab that.
Run for it.
Just joking. Just joking, guys. You see the cutbacks, man? We don't have $1,000 to give away. Crikey. Look at you girls diving to the spare seats over there. No, we didn't get the $1,000, but I do want to have a bit of a chat to you guys about what we've been doing lately and some exciting things that we've got coming up. I want to talk a little bit later on about tourism and Facebook and online. The online world's really new to me. I only joined Facebook 18 months ago, but I'm rapidly learning, and I already have learned the power of Facebook. And so what I thought we'd do, which I'll start now. Andy's got my phone over on the table there. I just put a post up on the South Aussie with Cosi page, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but I just put a post up there. We're filming this afternoon and on the weekend in York Peninsula, over there in York. So I just put a post up asking people for places to go, and hopefully, if people are on Facebook, it'll show you the power of Facebook and the interaction we get and what it can mean to tourism in South Australia. So we'll go back to that later on. A little bit about myself. I was born in Murray Bridge, just up the road, and then I went to Kadina. My old man was a copper, mum was a nurse, and grew up in Kadina, absolutely loved it. Went to Roseworthy College, studied a Bachelor of Ag and specialised in livestock production. Never did very well at school, failed year 12. I got, in Maths B, I got 5.5 out of 109 for the final exam. It was 3.5%. It was the lowest mark in South Australia. That was my claim to fame. So I went back to do year 12, Kadina High School. I went there, I called it was year 13. I called it my honours year of schooling. Mum and Dad didn't find it very funny though. So I was pretty much actually a write-off at school. The year 10 teacher came to our house, which having a teacher at your house sucks. That's not a good day for you. When they're having a parent-teacher interview in your home, at your kitchen table, Dad's in the police uniform. It wasn't very nice. And the teacher described me as a house with no foundations. That's what he said. So anyway, but from there I kind of picked up my act a little bit, went to Roseworthy College and completed my Bachelor of Ag. And then I was doing bull riding in rodeos and shearing. So I was shearing over on the west coast at Elliston and up at Kapunda, and we used to go down and go out to all the rodeos and all that. And I thought I might go to America and try my hand at rodeos for a little bit. But that never eventuated because I won a competition on SAFM, and this is where life started to get a lot more fun and also a lot more serious. I won a competition called the Great Race, so they sent 2 guys and 2 girls on a race to the other side of the world. It was really, really cool, and it was interesting. I learned a lot from that because when I actually won the competition, I rang Mum and Dad in the country in Kadina and said, "Oh, guess what? I'm going to do this race around the world." And Mum and Dad were mortified. They said that if I went on the radio, that would be so embarrassing for the family to hear us on the radio. They were disgusted that I would even consider dropping everything and doing this competition. I'll never forget, and I made the phone call to them out at a farm, Flagstaff Hill, out near Murray Bridge, Jervis Way there. And I was up on top of a wheat silo, no reception, big old brick mobile phone, that sort of thing, talking to Mum and Dad up there in my overalls on top of this silo. She's giving me this big spiel, Dad and I'll be so disappointed. So I got off and I was going to ring SAFM and ring them, because when your mum tells you something, you think about it. And I remember thinking, oh, well, she's probably right. I mean, who's going to do my job? And I can't just leave my girlfriend. And it's, who just jumps on a plane and goes overseas? So I got the number up to ring SAFM to say that I don't want to do the competition and thanks, but no thanks. And then I just had this kind of moment where I just went, sitting on the sides, covered in pig shit because I've been working in the piggery. And I just went, oh, bugger it, I'll do it. And it was from then, as I guess like a 20-year-old, that's been my philosophy ever since. Like, oh, bugger it, I'll do it. I'll have a crack. I don't fear rejection. I'll have a go at absolutely anything. So, and since then, it has just gone from strength to strength, and it's been a really, really good run. A little bit about my show, South Aussie with Cosi. There's a lot of familiar faces. I've been to probably most of the areas and regions that you guys are all from. And it's really interesting how the show's put together, and I thought maybe you guys might like to know a little bit about it. TV's changed a lot now in South Australia. There's bugger all local production. And my show is solely self-funded. So a lot of people think, wow, you got the best job in the world, you know, Channel 9 pay to go around all these tourism spots and you go all these different things. And which is cool, it is an excellent job, but it is entirely self-funded in that Channel 9 do not contribute a red cent. So we actually have to pay what's called a screening fee to Channel 9 without getting into it too much. But basically everything that happens on the show is entirely self-funded. So what happened was I went to Channel 9 initially and said, look, I've got this idea, I want to get South Australians excited about tourism in South Australia, and I pitched the show to Channel 9, and the show basically said, the Channel 9 said, if you can fund it, then we'll run it. So then I went to SA Tourism and presented to SA Tourism, who said, all right, show us a pilot and let's see what it's all about. And it was really good. SA Tourism got on board and so did Channel 9. So essentially without SA Tourism, the show doesn't exist. Dave O'Loughlin and Outer and all the team at SATC have been really, really supportive, and I've learned so much in the last 3 years about tourism. So we're on 5:30 Sunday nights. We're back in a couple of weeks, and then we're on for 4 months, and then we're off for 6 weeks, and we're back on for 3 months. The best we've ever done is 140,000 South Australians watching at once, which is pretty cool. I liken it to Amy Stadium, like, you know, that's like, you know, 2.5 Amy Stadiums watching the TV at once, and that's what excites me the most, because I know what's out in your regions is awesome, but I also know that there's so much of the population that hasn't been out there. So I love the fact that when I'm out filming, I can educate these people and get them into the regions. And see, all you've got to do, and you know, Andy and I, we did some filming here in the Adelaide Hills, and he touched on it before. You know, people come to the hills for the day trip. If we can turn that day trip into an overnighter and make it a 2-day, and instead of once a year, twice a year, the difference you can have is just phenomenal. And it's like you're talking millions and millions of dollars, as you guys know. So the exciting thing is you're selling, for me, I'm selling a product, which you guys are too, that everyone loves anyway. Like it's really good. It's not like you're a used car salesman and you're trying to convince someone to do something. My job's really just to say to people, hey, how cool is this? Come and check this out. You know, like Paula's here from Borough, and we did the Borough Passport, and that's a great example of something that fits in well with the show. Like it's cheap, it's easy, it's simple to do, it appeals to all ages, and you know, and it filmed up really well. So I just think the opportunities are absolutely endless, and we've just signed a 2-year deal with Channel 9 and SA Tourism, so we'll be on till 2015, which is really, really good. I'm super stoked about it. The other side of it is that people probably might not know about the show is that, like, we're a small business basically, and you know, I do everything on the show. So it's not just about rocking up and hosting it. Every single job that you think might exist with the show is done by me. Like from, you know, the researching, dealing with the tourism operators, to writing the scripts, to writing the voiceovers, to doing a thing called subtitling. Once we've completed an episode, they put it on DVD for me, and I sit at home and press play, pause, and I have to write it word for word. Every single word that's spoken on the show for the whole half hour, I've got to write it all up. And that's for subtitling for people that can't hear, so that goes back to Channel 9 so that the show's got subtitles down the bottom. It takes hours. So jobs like that, you know, the accounting, the bookwork, everything is done by me. The only thing that isn't really is, like, my wife helps me with a little bit of producing and does makeup and things like that when we're out filming. So, you know, it's really cool that it is kind of like a family thing. We go out with the family 60-70% of the time. And, you know, it's not without its challenges, but it's been like the best thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm really stoked to be a part of it. Yeah, so the show itself now is not only shown on Channel 9 at 5:30. Because I thought initially when I signed the first deal with SA Tourism, I thought, okay, when I go back to SA Tourism for Series 2, I want to show them more value. I want to say, here's what I promised you, here's what I deliver, which is kind of what I love to do. And whoever I do business dealings with, or I love to say, here's our deal, and this is what I delivered, because it's just always a nice thing to do, and it keeps you moving forward. So I thought, okay, what can I give back to SA Tourism when I meet from them that second time and say, here's what I've done? So I gave them, initially it was the eight episodes that were going to be replayed, so 16 episodes at 5:30. And in the meantime, I'd organised to have it shown on 2 other networks, which was one Southern Cross out of like Peary, which covers Yorks, Ayr and Broken Hill. So they play it twice. So I was able to go back to SA Tourism and say, you paid for this, we also got it screened twice on these regions, and Impardew is the other one, which covers over half of Australia. A lot of the regional stuff, but it's got access to about 400,000 people. So that was good, because that was one way that I could say, all right, now we're on 3 networks. and that's an area that I want to explore. So I long term with the show, I think I'm looking. I just come back from Dubai for a personal holiday over in London, and I met with some people in Dubai, and this is just a great story. Like, and it's all about that whole having a go and whatever. So I thought, you know what would be really cool? Like, you know how Emirates fly Adelaide direct to Dubai? Dubai is just, oh man, boom town for tourism. That place is just a man-made tourist attraction, and they have got it clocked. People will be going in and out of Dubai like you wouldn't believe. That the growth would be like that. I haven't seen a graph, but whatever they're doing now, they'll be doing twice as many people in a couple of years. So when I got over there, and when I knew I was going over, I thought, what would be really cool? We know lots of Australians with the high Aussie dollar are jumping on planes and heading everywhere. I think somebody might know. I heard that 1 million people last year jumped on a plane and went overseas. Is that right? Isn't that phenomenal? 1 million Australians went on an overseas trip. Obviously, high Aussie dollar, cheap airfares, and all that sort of deal. So I thought, okay, so we're losing them that way. It'd be great if we could fill these planes coming back. So the one I was interested in was the Dubai Adelaide. It's direct. It sees us bringing Middle Easterners straight into Adelaide and bypassing Melbourne, Sydney. The trouble is, internationals come in, and then to get them over to South Australia is hard. We've got these planes coming direct into Adelaide. Get them in Adelaide, fill them with all the things that are to do, and that can be their main point of stay. It'd be worth millions. So I started sending emails to TV stations over in Dubai. I don't know anything about dealing with Middle Easterners. So I was emailing away, and some didn't write back, so I'd re-email them, and I'm coming over, I'd love to meet you. So anyway, I got a couple of meetings lined up there, and so I went over there, and one of them was with one of the big media organisations over there, and so I jumped in a cab from my hotel. I gave the address to the Middle Eastern taxi driver. Out we go into the yuk-yuks, to this massive big building. I get there, and there's full, like the full Arab get-up that's there, the security guards at the front, and I'm like, oh my God, this is where my life's going to end. I'm in there by myself, just with my book, and I go in there, and then there's this Arab bloke, speaks very little English at the reception. I go, oh, g'day mate, how you going? Just here to see, and a name which I couldn't pronounce. He's like, yep, no worries, took me up. They sat me in this boardroom, massive boardroom, and I just waited, and I'm like, oh geez. Next thing, this Middle Easterner, almost sounds racist saying that, but this Arab bloke comes in, the CEO, and he comes in and he sits down, and his English was really good. And he said, I want to start by saying the fact that you came from Australia to be here with me today means a lot to me. And he said, I sent him one episode of the TV show, and he said, I've been online and I've seen 3 episodes of your TV show, and I would really like to do business with you, and there's no reason why we can't show this TV show in the Middle East. Which I went, yeah. So from there, like my theory is that it costs me heaps of money to go and film in South Australia, especially your regions that are a bit higher up, So it's really expensive. Can you picture, like, you watch a show like SA Life, which is a great show. Any show that promotes South Australia, I love. They're not competitors. The more of them we have, the better. But a show like that, they can go to a garden in the eastern suburbs and film 10 minutes of their TV show, and they don't have any travel time. For me, like say this weekend, I've got York Pinch is not too far, but I've got to have my crew sitting on their backside doing nothing for 2 hours each way, let alone like if we go to the southeast or if we go to the Flinders. The cost of filming my show is extremely high. So I thought, okay, I'm going to film it. I may as well film 2 shows at once. So what I want to evolve it into is basically when I'm out, I'll film 2 versions. So I'll do the first stand-up, I'll go, welcome to another episode of South Aussie with Cosi, we're here in blah blah. And then the next one I'll do for the Middle East market. So I'll go back to the start again, and I'll do a version for the Middle East. So what I'll do is when I'm editing, I'll cut one show for the South Australians, and I'll cut another show for the Middle East. I'll play as in Australia, and I'll send the other one straight to the Middle East. So there's no money in that, and I'm giving them that for free. But he basically said that he'll do it. So I just now need to, I've already spoke to Emirates about doing it. So and I've got to speak to SA Tourism about it and work out how we're going to do it. But at least it's there, and I think that's the exciting thing, because my plane ride back from Dubai to Adelaide was like, 2/3 empty. So, and Emirates aren't the only ones that fly direct into Adelaide, but there was 3 of us on that flight that were with us that all had 4 seats each. We're laying down sleeping, and there was hardly anyone. So I thought, gosh, imagine middle to high income earners, Middle Easterners, if we could bring them back into Australia, that'd be cool. Anyway, that's hopefully where I wanted to end up. I meet lots of characters. Actually, we might check. Where's Andy? Is he he's gone back to the bar? Has he? I was just going to show you. I can do it myself. I'll show you that. Let's have a look at that Facebook thing. Are you on the Facebook? Oh, cool. Oh, even how many? So basically, I put a post up. So something to sort of follow it. I put a post up saying, "Hey, I'm filming in Kadina on the weekend. who's been to Yorks before? Any suggestions for where I should film? So what are we up to? What have we got there? How many comments?
60 odd.
60 odd? Yeah, cool. So, like right now is a really bad time for Facebook. The prime time is 8 o'clock at night. So, you know, a lot of you guys that are posting, which we'll talk about Facebook in a minute, because it's like I've studied the backside out of it, because it's a free way to publicise South Australia, and it's easy to do. So, you know, so 66 people at this, you know, 12:40 or whatever it is good. So we'll go back to it in a minute. Yeah, so I thought we'll play a couple of little bits of stuff that didn't make it to TV. Now let's just see if I can do this right. I've got to press enter, is that right? Let's see, no? Oh, sorry, you just walked all the way up here. It's incidental exercise, it's great. You're looking well. Everything all right? Great. Who got on the beer last night? Dave, you were into it, yeah? Be able to drive in about 3 days? That's okay. Whereabouts are you, McLaren Vale? McLaren Vale, okay. A drinker from McLaren Vale, I'll be bugging. This might not work. Have a look at this. This is from Mount Compass Cup.
Including the milk scull, competitors run and scull a litre of milk off a hay bale. Then they run to the next bale of hay, scull another litre of milk, and then they, I guess, try to run to the finish line. My favourite contestant for the day was the only female in the race. Her name was Simone.
Here we go.
Simone. Now let's have a quick look where it all went horribly wrong for you.
Come to Mount Compass. I actually left that in because I personally think that's funny. Phone call, Graham Gilbertson, Channel 9. Cosi, the girl vomiting has to go. Yeah, so it cost me $300 to edit her out. I'll show you another one. This one's quite funny. This lady here is at the Clare races. Who's Clare Valley? Anyone Clare Valley? I love the Clare Valley. They haven't come. Maybe it's because of this clip I'm about to show them. This lady, believe it or not, hasn't been drinking. This also had to be removed from the show.
Here we are at the Clare Valley, and this woman, well, what on earth is she doing? Hello, sweetheart. Hey, you're on TV.
Thanks, Cosi.
We've got you on TV. Your husband told me to do you.
That's great, thank you.
You really do station wagon. You can do better than me. Enjoy the day of the races. As you were.
Yeah, we had to get rid of that one too. I think that's funny. But completely sober. She was a non-drinker. So all of these sort of people that we run into. There's also one here that, I have to show this lady. That one there. Gosh, she meets some characters. Have a listen to how this lady talks. This is Mount Compass Cup. She's talking about her ute that got damaged. I don't know if we can turn it up a bit. We might not be able to. We can? Alright, have a listen to this lady's voice. Sorry, I'm making you work very hard.
In the world of ute competitions, it's tough out there.
That's it. There's a lot of jealous people out there and they need to get over themselves. Leave people's utes alone. People work hard for what they get.
Yes.
They don't need people going and damaging their cars for jealousy.
And Diane, if people can take anything out of tonight's show, it is exactly that. Leave people's utes alone.
That's it, exactly. Leave people's cars alone. They work hard for what they do and they don't need people damaging them.
Yeah, isn't she a ripper? Mount Compass, huh? Look out.
Big smoker.
Yeah, she is a big smoker. She doesn't mind the odd dart or two. And you know, the funny thing is, when you film someone like the dear lady there, I reckon she has called Channel 9 about a dozen times, and she has emailed and Facebook. Oh my God, she just really, really loves the idea of being on TV, that broad thing. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit about online. So how does it work? Do you guys all have Facebook pages for each centre, do you? Or how does it, is that right? Yeah. Does everyone, or no? Put your hand up if you do have a Facebook page for you. Put your hand up if you don't. Okay, yeah, cool. And see, I reckon now, I'm no expert, you can take it with a grain of salt or whatever. I reckon absolutely everyone should have a Facebook page, you know, and if you don't, I reckon you're seriously missing out. And I'll tell you why the reason you probably don't have one is because you don't kind of understand it. And for me, 18 months ago, is that you? Is that?
No, we're not allowed to.
Oh, you're not allowed to, is that right? Is it a council thing? Is it? Oh, really? Yeah, right. Is that right? Geez, I'm not into the red tape of it all, and I can imagine there's probably no doubt heaps, but some way you guys need to be driving content on Facebook, and maybe it's not yours, but you know, there has to be a Facebook page somewhere for all of the regions to showcase what's going on. Let me give you an example. Yesterday I was filming in Port Elliot and I was talking to Di, the lady that runs the YHA in Port Elliot. The place is amazing. You can hire the whole joint out so cheap. Oh my God, I tell you, the episode we're doing that's going to smash it. They're going to get heaps of people down there. But she was saying that quite often they see whales in the bay there, obviously, and the people from Flying Fish Cafe do a very clever thing. What happens when there's a whale out the front of their cafe? What do? Just take a photo, bung it on Facebook. She said the place is full within like an hour and a half. So smart. How much did it cost them to market it? Not $1. How exciting is that? Yeah, it's crazy. It's so simple. And I reckon there needs to be, like, there's all these really cool things that happen in the regions, and they might be real simple things from a photo. It might be a sunrise, it might be a whale, it might be a cute kid doing something. That are all content. And if you use that content on your Facebook pages, you generate likes and shares and whatever, and then suddenly you're able to get your message out. With the South Aussie with Cosi one's only been going for 18 months. So far, I've got 2 Facebook pages. My personal one, which has got 10,000 friends, and the TV show one's got 20,000. So there's 30,000 there in total. But more importantly than the number is your interaction rate. So I would pride myself on being one of the top interactive Facebook pages in South Australia. Your top media ones are SAFM and Nova. They've been going for 5 or 6 years. SAFM's got about 35,000 friends, and we've got about 30. I reckon by the end of the year we'll be number 1 by numbers. But what we have over the others is an interaction rate. And you can see that if you look down a Facebook page, go to any one or any of your tourism operators that you deal with, you can instantly see if they're doing right or wrong on Facebook, how much interaction is there. Forget how many friends they've got, how many people are liking, commenting on sharing their content. Now I use my Facebook page again. How do I give SA Tourism and my sponsors more value for money so that I can keep them going, keep this thing going for as long as I can? And Facebook is a massive part of that, and online. So if you look down my Facebook page, either of them, my personal one or the TV show page, at any one time, I treat it like a radio station, and it will be like radios go song, 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 ads, song, 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 ads. So on my Facebook page, it'll go content, 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 ad, content, 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 ad. If you do ad, your interaction will be terrible, and no one will give a 2 hoots about your Facebook page. So what I try to do is I then can say to people like, you know, hey, well, while I'm coming out and filming, if you look at my page from yesterday, I'm promoting the YHA, and I'm promoting, you know, Metro Hold, my sponsor, and I'm doing all those sorts of things to keep the Facebook pages going and really, really interactive. I think the growth there is just astounding, and the fact that it's free just blows my mind. And you know, it's like trial and error. I think where a lot of tourism operators go wrong is what they're putting on their Facebook pages. And I'll give you an example. It's not tourism. I had a meeting with Metro Holden the other day, and we looked through their Facebook page, and a lot of it was, here's a car for sale, here's a car for sale, here's a car for sale. And they were worried about their interaction, really low, good numbers, but really low interaction. Basically, no one cared about what they were saying. So he said, oh, what should we do? My suggestion was, you've got to get better content, and it doesn't have to be about the cars. It can be about the weather, the crows, the V8 racing. It's got to be more interactive. You've got to generate, you know, comments. So what are we up to now on that one? So what do we have, 66? Maybe have another, do a refresh on that. And you've got to engage with people. It's so super important, and it's really, really easy to do. And I reckon probably of all the tourism places I look at, some do it really, really, really well, and some maybe not so well, and it can be improved. And I think the same goes for websites. But yeah, I do think the online stuff's really important, and websites. So maybe that's where you guys can help tourism operators. Some of them just, I reckon, probably need a little bit of hand with the online stuff. And you know, the other thing I thought I'd say to you guys is something interesting, saying about the trip to Dubai and went through Europe. And you know, when you're in Europe, you do a lot of different countries, and you know, you fly through them, you might be a day, you're in a couple of days there. Something that I reckon is really true for tourism in South Australia is the perception of an area. So somebody goes to an area like the Flinders Ranges, they come back to Adelaide, they get back to work, and they say to people that they basically become the spruikers for the region. Was it good? Was it bad? Would you go again? And they become kind of the ambassadors. So if they had a good time in that region, their friends would be inspired to show interest in that region. The example I want to give you guys is we came back from Europe, and my wife was talking to one of her friends, and she was talking about Belgium. We're only there for like a day and a half, like straight through Belgium. And my wife made a comment, and she goes, oh, her friend said, "Oh, what was Belgium like?" And my wife said, "Oh, yeah, it was all right. Like the people there are so arrogant." And I thought, that's interesting because we only spoke to probably 5 people in Belgium, right? 5 local people. But it's a very valid point. And she's right, 2 of those people were really rude. So 2 of the 5 people in the entire Belgium that we spoke to were rude. But her perception of Belgium is they're arrogant and they're rude. And that's, I think, a huge opportunity because what I try to do when I'm out or, I meet tourists or whatever, or if I see someone, staring at a map doing that, I'm the first to go over, and always have been, it's not just something in the last couple of years, "Hey, g'day, how you going, whereabouts you from, and what are you trying to find? Oh no, you're better off to do this, and you're better off to do that," which is essentially your job. Here's what you should do, this is awesome, and then you can change their perception of South Australia, the regions, the town, whatever you might be doing. And I think that is something that's free and easy to do as well. For example, if you go to, Port Lincoln, if someone goes to Port Lincoln and runs into just a couple of nice people, they come back raving about the place. "Oh, country people are so nice and friendly, and this lady, she took us into this shop and pointed us in the right direction." So I think that's a massive opportunity. I guess the other thing I'll finish on is just some advice someone gave me, which, you guys deal with a lot of tourists and deal with a lot of people that deal with tourists and answer lots of phones and all that sort of gear. I used to do phones for Amanda Blair and James Brayshaw on the SAF and Brecky show back 13 years ago. Someone told me something there once, which I think is so valid. It was actually Amanda Blair's now husband. He used to do the phones. And he reckoned that it's so true. Before you pick up your phone, and if you take one thing out of the whole chat today, take this out because it's a good one. When your phone rings, doesn't matter how busy you are, how stressed you are, what you've been doing, or how rainy it is, or crap it is, or heat wave, whatever. When you go to pick up your phone, always smile. "G'day, how you going?" or "Hello," because it's that first few seconds that really engages a person. And in your case, or with the information centres, people are ringing because they're interested. If you guys are interested, excited, enthusiastic, obviously it's infectious and they're going to be as well. So if you answer the phone, "Hello," and I call different tourism operators and different information centres all the time because I'm searching for information, suggestions, ideas. The variety of responses you get is huge. Generally, it's unreal and they're all way helpful. But sometimes you'll get someone and you'll just go, "Whew." And sometimes I'll be planning a show and I'll ring people and I'll go, "Oh, well, geez, he was a bit of a drag." I'll pencil through that. And, they've just dipped out on a segment of their region or whatever they're trying to promote. So I just reckon that is a really, really good one. I think that's probably about it. I don't know if you want me to...
No, you've got another few minutes, Cosi, so you're right.
Yeah, I just don't want to bore you guys, that's all. No chat should go for longer than...
Question time as well.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to touch on the media side of things and how to work with the media and
great.
stuff. I don't know if you're doing...
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a bit about that, because I'm actually doing the fingers to you. I'll tell you a bit about that. That's a great point. I've been with the media now for, this is my 13th year, so it's a really long time. And what most people do in South Australia is they'll start their job in Adelaide, they'll get into radio or TV, and they'll be itching like buggery to get to Melbourne or Sydney. It's like they just bolt. Now my wife and I had job offers, probably 10 years ago. There was another one 8 years ago to go to Melbourne and Sydney and pursue the breakfast radio and stuff over there. In fact, one of them was to work with Kyle and Jackie O, so I was going to be the 3rd person on that team when that first started, which we said no to because the thing with us is I've got no desire to be famous or well-known, or I don't want my name in lights, whatever. Everything I can achieve in South Australia, and I've always had that philosophy. And the media is fun, and while the ride lasts, I'll ride it and I'll try to, do as much as I can while they're willing to have me. But at the end of the day, when the time comes, they say, "We don't want you anymore," or, "We've got to use by date the media. If mine's a week away or 10 years away, I'll just be satisfied with what I've done and no problems at all." But one thing I have learned about the media is that it is an opportunity, or the reason I wanted to start South Aussie with Cosi is because I love telling Adelaide people how good everywhere else is, and to get in your car and drive or go and see something, do something. So I thought the best way to do that is firstly radio, and I used to do it all the time. For 10 years on breakfast radio, you'd always hear me banging on about some country event or the region or this or that. And it was great because I could use my position in the media to push regional South Australia. So I did that for 10 years just because I loved it. And anyway, and then I got involved with SA Tourism and, Advantage SA and that, SA Great back in the day. And so then I used that position and I thought, how can I do this better? And that was the TV show. So the idea of the TV show was, it is incredibly expensive and virtually impossible for probably 90% of the tourism operators that to actually buy TV space. It's incredibly expensive let alone the cost of filming it and doing that. So I thought, what if I could put a show on where I could give all these people like, you know, the bloke in Corn that runs Graham, I think it is, that runs the camel tripper out of Corn there, like ripping bloke who I think that's shut down, is that right? That sucks, yeah. Such a nice family. Like all these people, I mean, how did they get on TV? The answer is they can't really, because they could never afford it. They don't have the marketing budgets. So I thought I'll start a show, and together with SA Tourism, got on board, and then it gave me the opportunity to get all these people onto TV. So that was how I started to do it. But the thing that I have learned, which you guys could pass on to your tourism operators, is that in the media, we, like we're talking about Facebook, are always searching for content. Always searching for content. And if we have access to what's going on, or things that are going on, or unique things, or events, whatever, there's a good chance the media will use it. You just have to know how to use the media to your advantage. And that's why you see these media training places out there. Mark Asen, who's a friend, he does one, and Ron Candelars used to do postcards, he does another. The essence of what they're saying is, you can get on TV, in the paper, on the radio for free, and you don't have to pay, you just have to know how to pitch it, and you've just got to pitch it. So it's no different to me being on that silo going, bugger it, I'll have a crack, or me calling the dudes in Dubai and saying, hey, can I meet up with you guys? If you don't ask, you don't know. And that's the case with the media. So if you've got something going on in your region, you have to let people know about it. So the first thing you need to do is you need to work out, well, I've got this great thing going on, or a new thing, or something different, or an amazing story, where do I send it? So you kind of got to decide where to send it. An easy one's like a Jane Riley with the weather. You know, she's always looking for that photo at the end, and this photo was sent in from blah blah of the sunset going down over the Borough of Paxton Cottages, or whatever it might be, or so yeah, that's an easy one. The other one is the breakfast shows. You should all have a contact list of all of the breakfast radio shows and the people in Adelaide. And in fact, it might be an SA Tourism thing where they could compile that list, and I can definitely help them, of the key people's email addresses to send stuff to. And that might be a handy thing for you guys to have. And then you can decipher what the content is, firstly. Who does it suit? The commercials, like the commercial radio stations, like the SAFMs and Novas? Is it more of a 50s plus? Is it, so let it go to ABC and 5AA? Is it a new amazing thing that would be good on my show? Cool, shoot Cosi an email. But probably 90%, probably 80% of what you see on my show are tourism operators that have emailed me and that have said, hey, I want you to come and do this, or haven't you thought about this? You know, the squeaky wheel gets oiled, that sort of gear. You know, I've had, well, the YHA in Port Elliot yesterday. Richard, the bloke that runs the YHA, gosh, he's been bailing me up for 2.5 years to come and film that Port Elliot place. And it's always in the back of my mind, I must do that, I promised that guy I would, I promised the guy. And eventually you get down there and you do it. So I just think you have to learn to identify what that content is, and then know where to send it to get it on. And before you know it, you'll be really chuffed, because you'll find yourself getting all stories and bits and pieces and miles that would normally cost thousands of dollars. You'll be getting it totally for free. So yeah, anything that's going on. And if there's anything that I can always help you with, you can always email me through my website, or if some of you have my email address, or just get it off me or whatever. Always sing out, I'm more than happy to help out, sort of what my job is. So yeah, just let me know, or at least I can point you in the right direction. Because once you do that, gosh, it's really good. I used to do it when I started with SAFM. I thought, how can I, like I do now with SA, with tourism in SA, how can I get that more miles with, you know, the international stuff, whatever. Back in the SAFM days, I used to think, with SAFM as a radio station, I was working there, how can we get this more miles? So I'd take a little story like, what's one I did? Like there was a little boy once that I saw him, he had this straw hat and he was singing this little guitar, and I was chatting to him at some school thing, and I went, gosh, that's funny. So I took a video of him singing, you know that song, Love to Have a Beer with Duncan? I just changed the words and then taught him it a little bit, and he sang, I'd love to have a beer with Rove. Remember Rove McManus' show, right? So I filmed him doing that, sent it in, and I said, we turned into a little campaign, and we said to Rove, hey, look, if we get 1,000 people to do this thing, will you have this kid on TV? Yep, no worries. He ended up having it on Rove 3 times. So from that little idea, SAFM got national exposure and a mile of content from just that email, just that crack. So I think there's a lot you can do there. So yeah, I reckon that's a real good go. But we might go to some questions now. Yeah, it's question time. And had I known that this was the card here, I would never have come here. Andy there, and that my kids will be not having nightmares about that for the rest of their lives. Yeah, lots of questions. You can ask absolutely anything, and I'll love to. Yeah.
So do you want me to go with the questions? I've got lots.
Yeah, it's always, no one ever really wants to ask a question, do they? But please do. Or...
Can you give us an example of, which you've been to lots of visitor information centres around the state?
Yep.
Can you give us an example? What are the, what are the challenges that you think that visitor information centres might need to overcome or work on? What's something that these guys can take away from a visitor information centre point of view?
Well, I think, and I'd never, target particular ones. I'll tell you some that do it well. Like we've got Paula here from Borough. Paula practically drove a whole, at least half, if not more, episode of my TV show. So Paula, when I first made contact with her, I didn't know Paula, so I rang the Visitor Information Centre. I wanted to do a story on Borough. SA Tourism had suggested that it would be good to look at the Paxton cottages there, and so no worries. I'd driven through Borough heaps. I'd never really had a look around, so I knew not a lot about the town. Because I'm no expert in South Australia. Like I've been around the traps, but I'm no gun. I'm no, I haven't been travelling around SA for every inch of it. So anyway, so Paula basically put together some history side of things. She told me all about the Borough passport, and she gave me all of the information that I needed to make a really cool episode of the TV show. And then she formed a relationship where only 6 weeks ago, I emailed Paula saying, hey, look, there's an opportunity to do some stuff coming up. Did you want to do... So from one phone call, Paula got all of that stuff done, and we filmed a great episode and got all this exposure for Borough, which you couldn't really put a price on. So I'd say that's a good experience. I'm having another one currently with York Peninsula. A lady called Jo there's organised stuff for me tomorrow, and just helping me along, because I don't have a big team. I don't even have a producer. I just have me. So if you can imagine my day, yesterday, for example, started at 6 a.m. I wrote scripts till we left at 8. I filmed all day, got back at 6, spent a little bit of time with the kids, and then I was back in at work till 1 or something, and then I was back up at 6 this morning to write more notes for Yorks, and then here, and it's full on, like doing everything by myself. So Paula makes my job easy, more coverage that way. Joe's doing the same thing. And some of the other ones, that I've dealt with is back to that phone thing, I've called through and I've just gone, it's a bit lukewarm, so there's not really, they weren't excited about it, so it's hard for me to get excited about it, so then I just find another way. I go, okay, well, I'll either cover another area, or, like Andy and I we did one that's coming up on about the second week of July, Adelaide Hills, same deal. Andy basically drove it, so we got together and Andy said, look, here's the key points we're trying to get across. I'm like, sweet, yep, no worries. And then here's some ideas I've got, and together we worked out what we do. Come on the filming, made it easy, organised the talent that we chatted to along the way. Job's on, couldn't be any easier. And it's just really, really good. So I reckon it's just that when someone rings, you just never know what it can lead to. And that's the case. Sometimes, that's probably the only thing, when somebody does ring, or making that information available, which goes back to that, identifying what's cool in your area, and then letting everyone else know about it. And I think sometimes, I say to some of the tourism operators, the best thing about their tourism operation is the thing that they take for granted the most, which perhaps they're not telling everyone, or they're not putting at the forefront. An example might be, I was down at Narracourt at the Big Four holiday park down there. That's cool, it's a great park, it's my wife's favourite park in the state. They've got this really cool train thing for the kids, it's well located, ticks a lot of boxes, well priced. But I said to them, you've got all this land, there's got to be something more you can do, something really simple. You've got city people coming to Narracourt, why don't you just set up a pen with some chooks or some ducks, a pen of chooks so the kids can go in and help collect the eggs in the morning. And people love that, recycling the food, and so the caravan parks can give their scraps to the chooks and all that. I love that sort of stuff. The YHA yesterday had a garden there, and people can come out and pick the stuff. Clare I filmed the other day, and the caravan park in Clare has got, the little fauna park next to it. I've never been to Clare. And I was devastated to hear that the council's not replacing the kangaroos in the fauna park. Once they die out, they're done. Because 3 years ago, someone went in there from the council to mow the lawns and a male kangaroo scratched him. So that's done. I'm like, are you serious? Is that where we're at? Because when I filmed there, there's 30 kids down there feeding, there's one kangaroo left and 2 emus. And all these kids, city kids, are gravitated to it. And just because one incident happened, we're done. Is that, we're just going to go, oh, that's too hard, don't worry about it. So I'm going to write a letter to them. But that's dumb. That's just a dumb thing to happen. So I just think that those simple things that can give tourists just that little bit more, I just don't reckon it's hard. And sometimes, what city people don't have is what us in the country growing up had heaps of, space and just that, I don't know, you just got to got to look at what's really cool and what people are finding is cool about your place, and then push that. Any other questions?
Curious about how many likes you've got at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, maybe if you could just refresh my screen, if that's. Oh, do you? No. Do you know? Here, I can do it. It'll take 2 seconds. Too bad it's gone down. And the other thing is, even with like my Facebook, you guys can always email me, and I can't always do everything for various reasons, but you can always email me if you've got something coming up. Like this weekend, anyone do the Gawler region, the Gawler Mount Crawford? Yeah, this weekend they've got that great rally. Now, so I'm in the media, and I found out about the rally through a guy called Ryan who sent me an email and offered me a rally car hot lap, which I did a few years ago, which I'm going to do again. But that event is huge, and he was saying, look, he's struggling because that they're finding it hard to get on TV and that. So he probably just doesn't have the right channels, because if they're going to get 10,000 tonight at Gawler and they've built a track through the showgrounds, Christ, that's a good story. Every news, 7, 9, 10 and 1 should know about that. So, and it's just about guiding them how to get there and whatever, because the difference is, what will affect how many people they get there tonight will be whether it was on TV last night. Because you can do all the paid, all the advertising in the world, but it's so expensive, so that if you can get a news thing, or I put a post up on Facebook for him, it's a minor thing, or an editorial in the paper, they're doing the right thing, they're taking a heap of different media people in these hot laps, which is great, because then they talk about it on air. Free advertising for just like a quick little hot lap. What have we got here? Let's see. So, I did that, so we've got 65, the post was, who's been to York Peninsula? We're filming there tomorrow and Sunday. Any suggestions of good things we should be filming? 65 likes and 131 comments. So that's 131 plus 65. So, at a shitty time during the day, 200 people have chose to engage with me about York Peninsula. Do you know what I mean? Isn't that phenomenal? Do you know the other day I posted a thing at, and it's been on for like 50 minutes. The other day I hosted a thing at She Oak Log as like a fair day. It was really cool. And I found this little kid's toy, like a little pink stuffed toy. And this is how like the mindset of finding content and what you can do with it. Find a kid's toy, as I would, I've got kids, you lose a little pink toy, your kids will be devastated, some kids will be crying somewhere. So I jumped on the mic, hey guys, we found a little toy, did a couple of shout outs, no one came forward for this toy. Got to the end of the day, I was packing up my stuff, most people had gone. About to walk off and there's this bloody pink toy on the thing. Oh, poor little kid, I bet there's someone home tonight. So I grabbed it and I'll take it home with me and I'll put a photo on Facebook. Chucked the photo up on Facebook. Hey guys, I was out at She Oak Log Country Fair. Make sure I get the name, just a little bit north of Gawler, make sure I point to where it is, whatever. Found this cute little kid's toy. Does anyone know the owner? I'm going to track it down via Facebook. It got shared, which is sharing's like the ultimate compliment you can get on Facebook, because for those that aren't kind of savvy with it, if I share your post, I put it up the top of my newsfeed, which is like the duck's nuts. And from my point of view, like I want my logo, I want the regions, I want everyone to be on everyone's Facebook. So it got shared 1,100 times, and Facebook tells you how many people read your post. Over 120 actually, 120,000 people read that post. Isn't that crazy? So we found the owner, which was cool. So it was really good, and it got in the paper and all this sort of gear. So the flow-on effect from that was really good, because I identified that not only is it the right thing to do, which I'm always going to do, but that's content. That little thing is content, and that's my way of basically advertising the She Oak Log Country Fair. But it's a way you wouldn't think. 110 or 20, 30,000 people read that there's a She Oak Log Country Fair. Whether they went or not doesn't matter. It's that they know, so it's top of mind when they do see some advertising. They go, oh, that's that place. It's a good place to lose my kid's toy. So I don't even know what the question was. So I just rambled about tourism forever. Has anyone got any other questions?
What's your Facebook?
It's South Aussie with Cosi. So if you type in South Aussie with Cosi and then just click like. So the other thing is, I reply, whilst I've just been so bloody busy lately, I reply to every single personal message that people send me, and it takes sometimes hours. I allocate about 15 minutes a day to Facebook, liking people's comments, commenting on what they comment, so they know that I give two hoots about them and whatever. And I think that's really, really important. I'm very, very interactive, and I do it all myself. So right now I probably need to sit on it for about half a day. There's a bit of a backlog, but it's just not having that time. But I think that's really, really important. So for example, if you message me via Facebook, which if you ever want to get in contact with me, do it through email. Facebook is a bit slower because if I'm busy, it does take a back seat. But I will email back everyone. So yeah, I think that's really, really important. So yeah, any other questions? I don't want to bore you. The last thing you think, Jesus, someone chats for too long, you go, oh, I want a beer and it's getting hot in here, and if he shows me one more clip, I'm going to flip out. Any other questions? Last questions? No, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Yeah, well, I'll just wrap up by saying that, I'm pumped to be in the position that I am where I can promote the regions, and I feel it's a real honour. There's nothing like, I feel like I'm an employee of the state of SA Tourism. There's nothing in this that I think, it's never about me or it's never about my family. It's just about, every single thing that goes through my head is, how can I best serve the state, and how can I best make sure that people get out into the regions? Because I know the huge upside that an opportunity like ours has got with the TV show, it's crazy. So it's just really, really cool to think that we are getting people out to the regions, and if that happens, it's really good. And the other thing is that I think we also need to look after the smaller operators. I think so often the focus goes to, and you'd all have them in your region, those key operators, and this is normally them. They're really easy to talk to, they're really approachable, they'll do whatever you want, and they run good businesses, and they're probably good online as well. And there's those key places, like I think Houseboats. Who do I think? Mark Flanagan, Unforgettable Houseboats down there. If I see something else on TV, who do I see? Mark Flanagan, Unforgettable Houseboats. He's a bloody champion guy, and he's actually a good friend. But I was introduced to him through SA Tourism, because they know him as someone that's good and presents well. So the more you guys can help others present well, and because I dare say other houseboat operators, I'm just using that as a random example, there's millions of examples, probably look at that and go, why can't I bloody be on TV? Look at this bloody TV, Unforgettable everywhere. And the reason is because they're not on the front foot. So perhaps you guys can help them get on the front foot. Because what we don't want, the other day I visited an eatery at Clare, went to Skilligalee, and I just thought, so I filmed Skilligalee, and it's a brilliant place with a hell of a story and all that. I just went, there's so many spots in Clare, and maybe coming here was that, maybe I should have chose one that doesn't get the publicity. And, so I think, we just need to look after those little smaller ones.
They probably think when people look at that, they probably think, they've paid for that.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think that's half the issue. They think, I could never afford to go on that show. And they don't realise that
Well, and the education side of it is really, really important. And it's about, my show's one, but there's all shows. There's SA Life Now the Blue, to a lesser extent for tourism. But there's every news. You picture, if you had to put on a newspaper every single day about something in South Australia, you're starving for content, you're looking for stuff. Radio's the same, breakfast show. You've got to put on a 3-hour breakfast show, 15 hours a week. You're looking for stuff to talk about. You have someone come to you and say, I caught a 50 centimetre carp, you've got to see this photo. The radio station go, I'll take that, yep, and we want the photo, we'll put it on Facebook, and away you go. And suddenly you've made a contact.
Have you been to every region?
Well, we've got a really good setup this time for the next 2 years with SA Tourism. And initially I wanted every episode to be all over the place, and in every episode I'd cover 3 or 4 regions. But it was kind of like postcards on speed. It was a bit like, whoa, where the hell, he's on a camel, and now he's on a boat, and then he's over on Sea-Link. And so what we're doing now is SA Tourism have got an episode for each region. So, and it's looking at the shows coming off the line at the moment, they're a lot more, they're easier to watch, and it gives me more time to cover the area. We're looking at a little bit more history than we perhaps did in the last couple of series, and it's really, really cool. So, that's a question.
Are we able to get, do you have a schedule of what areas you're going into and roughly when you're going there, so that we can say, okay, we know that
here's what's happening.
He's going to be in the area in a month's time, so we'll bombard him with as much information as we can of what's happening around and where we think that would be great.
It's interesting how the show works, or how it has worked. It's it basically gets broken down into thirds, or my time gets broken down into thirds. 1/3 of the time I'm going through contracts, negotiations, raising the funds, which is the worst. I hate asking I hate asking people for things. I'd rather give, and it's not. My manager does most of that, but it's the fundraising side. Getting all the contracts done takes about 3 months, 3 or 4 months, and then 1/3 of it's basically just filming the show, and then 1/3 of it is the kind of the editing and watching it roll out. Then it starts again, contract. So doing the 2-year deal with SA Tourism and Nine has been great, because what it does is it makes it that, my major sponsor, without them we'd be buggered, they're locked in. So that I know in my head, okay, if I'm up in the Flinders, I can shoot an extra story up there for the next year. It helps me cut back on cost, makes my time more efficient, and it cuts out that, when you're trying to deal with companies to get meetings and calendars of MASH takes ages. So, because the other thing is I'm still full-time at Triple M, so yeah, I'm still full-time there, so I've got to try to balance my time. So
have to wrap it there.
yeah, all right, all good. Yeah, thanks very much. So in answer to your question, yeah, probably the best thing is to just always just email me and say, hey, we've got this coming up, or this person just opened up this place. And if I can't help you directly, I'll be able to point you in the right direction of someone. I might say, hey, I'm not filming for a couple of months. You should email blah blah from Nova because they were looking to do something. Yeah. The other one as well, last thing is people are always looking for stuff to give away in the media as well. So tell your tourism operators, stuff that doesn't cost them anything, like a night's accommodation, you know, I know it's hard costs or something like that. It's always good for a prize to, you know, maybe you could group a few of them up from your region and then call a radio station and say, we've got 5 nights accommodation at 5 different places to give away. It's not going to cost you a cent, but we want 50 mentions through your breakfast show for that week. Come to Clare Valley for Gourmet Weekend, and then they give their listeners a prize. Yeah, things like that. So much you can do. Always call me. I'll always help you out wherever I can. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Cosi. And before you run away, Andy wants to give you a little something. Okay.